Picture this. It's October 17th, 2025, 3:47 a.m. in the Mojave Desert. The graveyard shift at NASA's Deep Space Network in Goldstone, California. Coffee's gone cold, monitors hum their electronic lullaby, and engineer Sarah Chen is fighting to stay awake through another routine night of tracking distant spacecraft. Then her screen explodes with activity, not the gentle ping of a returning probe or the static whisper of cosmic background radiation. This is different, structured, purposeful, mathematical. The waterfall display shows a signal unlike anything in her 15 years at NASA. 11.3 seconds of electromagnetic perfection, followed by exactly 35.7 seconds of silence, then repeating. Not approximately, exactly, down to the microsecond, the kind of precision that makes atomic clocks jealous. Chen's training kicks in, check the equipment, run diagnostics, verify the source, but as her fingers fly across the keyboard, her blood runs cold. This isn't coming from any known satellite, space probe, or natural celestial object. It's coming from 3I, Atlas, the mysterious interstellar visitor that's been creeping through our solar system since July, and it's getting stronger. In just 5 hours of observation, the signal strength exploded by 312%, as if someone out there just cranked up the volume to make sure we were listening. By dawn, every space agency on the planet was in emergency session. By noon, the president was briefed. By sunset, the world's most powerful radio telescopes had pivoted to stare at one tiny point in space. This is the story of 3I, Atlas, the signal that made NASA question everything, and the 3 weeks in October 2025 when humanity realized the universe had been trying to tell us something all along. Buckle up, because what happens next will fundamentally challenge everything you thought you knew about our place in the cosmos. Let's rewind to where this cosmic thriller began. July 1st, 2025, Cerro Pachon, Chile. The Atlas telescope, designed to spot killer asteroids, instead found something that would kill our assumptions about interstellar visitors. What appeared on astronomer Jake Martinez's screen looked like just another dim speck, probably a boring chunk of distant ice. But when he calculated its trajectory, his coffee mug slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. This thing wasn't orbiting the Sunday. It was slicing through our solar system on a hyperbolic trajectory, moving at a staggering 137,000 miles per hour. For perspective, that's fast enough to get from Earth to the Moon in less than 2 hours. But speed wasn't the shocking part, it was the origin. Backtracking its path led to empty space between the stars. This was only the third confirmed interstellar object humanity had ever detected, after the cigar-shaped Oumuamua in 2017 and the more conventional Borisov in 2019. But 3I, Atlas immediately stood out from its predecessors. First, the size. While Oumuamua was maybe 400 meters long, 3I, Atlas's nucleus measured up to 3.5 miles in diameter, with a coma, that glowing cloud of gas and dust, extending an incredible 26,400 kilometers, that's twice Earth's diameter. This wasn't just a visitor, it was a cosmic Goliath. Then came the age estimates. By analyzing its trajectory and chemical composition, scientists calculated this object was over 7 billion years old. Let that sink in. When our sun was still a twinkle in a nebula's eye, when Earth was billions of years from forming, 3I, Atlas, was already ancient, carrying within it the chemical signatures of a star system that died before our solar system was born. We weren't just looking at an interstellar traveler, we were looking at a messenger from the cosmic past. But if 3I, Atlas, was just another dead comet, a frozen relic tumbling through space, none of this would matter. What transformed scientific curiosity into barely concealed alarm were the anomalies. And brother, the anomalies kept coming like plot twists in a thriller that doesn't know when to quit. It started with a trajectory. Space is big, really incomprehensibly big. The odds of any interstellar object randomly passing through our solar system are astronomical. The odds of it aligning almost perfectly with our ecliptic plane, the flat disk where all planets orbit. That's like throwing a dart from New York and hitting not just a dartboard in Los Angeles, but the exact bullseye. The alignment was off by only 2.8 degrees. For comparison, Oumuamua came in at 123 degrees, basically perpendicular. Borisov, 44 degrees, but 3I Atlas, it entered our solar system like it was following the same highway as our planets. Dr. Maria Petrova at Moscow State University ran the probability calculations 17 times. Convinced she'd made an error, she hadn't. The chance of random alignment this precise? 1 in 73,000. Either we just won the cosmic lottery, she told colleagues, or this wasn't random. Then came the density measurements, and this is where things got weird. Using multiple observation techniques, including stellar occultation and radar imaging, teams discovered something that made zero sense. 3I Atlas appeared to be hollow. Not porous like a pumice stone, but containing actual voids, chambers, or layered structures. Think of it less like a dirty snowball and more like a cosmic apartment building. The European Space Agency's analysis showed density variations that suggested up to 30% of the object's volume was empty space. Natural comets don't form that way. Even the weirdest asteroid compositions don't create structured voids. Dr. Hans Mueller from ESA put it bluntly, in 40 years of studying comets, I've never seen anything like this. Either we're missing something fundamental about interstellar object formation, or, he never finished the sentence on record, but everyone knew what he wasn't saying. But the impossible was just getting started. As 3I Atlas fell toward the sun, multiple observatories noticed something that violated the fundamental rules of orbital mechanics. It was slowing down. Not dramatically, not enough for casual observers to notice, but enough to make astrophysicists break out in cold sweats. Objects falling toward the sun accelerate. It's not a suggestion, it's the law. Newton's law specifically. The sun's gravity pulls, objects speed up, case closed. Except 3I, Atlas apparently hadn't read the textbook. Between August and September, it decelerated by 0.3 meters per second. That might sound tiny, but it's like watching a drop ball fall upward for a moment. It doesn't happen unless something's pushing back. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory ran the numbers. To achieve this deceleration, 3I Atlas would need thrust equivalent to a small rocket engine running continuously. Yet no telescopes detected any outgassing strong enough to produce this effect. No jets of material, no explosive sublimation, nothing that could explain the physics-defying behavior. We joke about aliens, admitted Dr. James Harrison from JPL. But when your data shows an object performing maneuvers, at some point you have to consider all possibilities, no matter how uncomfortable they make you. The spectroscopic analysis added another layer to the mystery. When scientists analyze comet composition, they expect to find specific signatures: water, ice, carbon dioxide, maybe some methane and ammonia. Basic stuff. 3I Atlas delivered that and then some. Hidden within the expected compounds were complex carbon chains that made biochemists sit up and take notice. These weren't simple molecules. The James Webb Space Telescope detected polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons arranged in patterns that typically require either biological processes or sophisticated chemistry to create. Even more bizarrely, these delicate structures showed no signs of the damage you'd expect from billions of years of cosmic radiation. It was like finding a fresh sandwich in King Tut's tomb. Dr. Lisa Chang from Caltech's chemistry department couldn't hide her amazement. These molecules should have been blasted apart millions of times over. The only way they survive is if they're protected somehow, shielded, preserved. That's not something that happens accidentally. High-resolution imaging revealed the visual anomalies. The surface of 3I Atlas wasn't the chaotic, cratered mess typical of ancient space rocks. Instead, the Hubble Space Telescope and ground-based adaptive optics systems revealed geometric patterns. Triangular formations that maintained their shape as the object rotated. Rectangular depressions that repeated at regular intervals. Linear features that intersected at precise angles. One image, taken by the Keck Observatory on September 15th, showed what appeared to be a hexagonal pattern covering approximately 15% of the visible surface. Hexagons appear in nature, look at basalt columns or honeycomb, but not on comets, and certainly not with the mathematical precision displayed on 3I Atlas. The angles were perfect to within measurement error. The sides were equal to 99.7% accuracy. "It's like looking at a circuit board through a telescope," whispered Dr. Amanda Foster during a late-night observation session at Palomar Observatory. Her comment, caught on a hot mic, would later fuel 1,000 conspiracy theories. October arrived like a storm front, and with it came the signals that would change everything. It started on October 14th, subtle enough that most observatories missed it initially. Radio telescopes performing routine observations noticed interference at 440 Hz, Concert A, the note orchestra's tuned to. But this wasn't acoustic. It was electromagnetic, pulsing with a regularity that defied natural explanation. The Very Large Array in New Mexico was first to realize this wasn't Earth-based interference. The signal showed the Doppler shift consistent with 3I. Atlas's motion. As the object moved relative to Earth, the frequency shifted exactly as physics predicted. This was coming from space. More specifically, it was coming from our interstellar visitor. Within hours, radio observatories worldwide confirmed the detection, but the signal wasn't static. It evolved, adding harmonics and sub-frequencies like a cosmic symphony warming up. By October 16th, the transmission had developed into something unmistakably artificial. The base pattern remained, those precise 11.3-second pulses, but now it carried modulation, encoding, information. Dr. Brian Kowalski from SETI had spent 30 years searching for alien signals. He knew what natural cosmic radio sources sounded like: the chaotic screech of pulsars, the white noise hiss of quasars, the periodic chirps of rotating neutron stars. This wasn't any of those. "In my entire career," he said, voice shaking during an emergency conference call, "I've never seen anything that screams artificial quite like this. If this is an intelligent design, then I need to rethink everything I know about signal analysis." The October 17th escalation changed the game entirely. At 3:47 a.m. Pacific, the signal shifted from 440 Hz to 1,420 MHz, the hydrogen line. For those not versed in SETI protocols, this is huge. Hydrogen is the universe's most common element. Its emission frequency is universal, unchanging, recognized by any civilization that's discovered radio astronomy. It's the cosmic equivalent of broadcasting on Channel 1, the frequency everyone's most likely to monitor. But here's what made grown scientists cry. The signal wasn't just at the hydrogen frequency. It was modulated with mathematical precision that revealed layers of embedded information. The primary pulse still lasted 11.3 seconds, but within that pulse were nested patterns, subpulses at 1.7 seconds, microvariations every 0.213 seconds, and threading through it all, a frequency modulation that followed the Fibonacci sequence 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. The Fibonacci sequence appears throughout nature, from spiral galaxies to DNA helixes. Finding it in an artificial signal is like finding a cosmic "we come in peace," written in the universal language of mathematics. MIT's cryptography department went into overdrive, throwing their most advanced algorithms at the signal. What they found defied belief. Embedded within the modulations were prime numbers up to 1,597. Mathematical constants appeared as frequency ratios: pi, the golden ratio, Euler's number. It was like someone had compressed a mathematics textbook into radio waves and was broadcasting it to ensure we knew this wasn't natural. No pulsar, no matter how weird, generates prime numbers. No quasar recites pi to the 15th decimal place. Then came the moment that turned scientific excitement into existential dread. October 20th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. The signal, which had been broadcasting omnidirectionally like a lighthouse, suddenly focused. The broad emission narrowed into a tight beam, and every tracking station from Arecibo to Parks confirmed the impossible. That beam was aimed directly at Earth. Not at our general vicinity. Not sweeping past us. Locked on like a targeting laser. The power requirements for such precise targeting across interstellar distances boggled the mind. We're talking about focusing electromagnetic energy with surgical precision from an object moving at 137,000 miles per hour. Currently 2.3 astronomical units away and hitting a target 12,742 kilometers wide. It's like threading a needle from a moving car 3 states away. While blindfolded in a hurricane, Dr. Yuki Tanaka from Japan's NAOJ calculated the odds. For this to be coincidental, to be some natural lensing or focusing effect, the probability is 10, negative 19. That's a decimal point followed by 18 zeros and then a 1. In science, when you see odds like that, you stop calling it coincidence and start calling it intentional. The signal had become a message, and the message, whatever it was specifically for us. This is where NASA's transparency ended and the cover-up began. Within 6 hours of the focused transmission, a coordinated blackout descended on the global astronomical community. Websites went dark, data streams cut off. Scientists who'd been live tweeting observations suddenly went silent. The Deep Space Network's public tracking page, which had shown 3I Atlas data for months, displayed only technical maintenance, please stand by. The Discovery Protocol, a classified response plan developed after Oumuamua's visit, activated with unprecedented speed. Officially, it's designed to prevent panic and misinformation by implementing a 72-hour verification period before any public announcements about potential extraterrestrial contact. Unofficially, according to leaked documents, it's about control. Edward Snowden, yes, that Edward Snowden, dropped a cryptic tweet. When every space agency on Earth goes dark simultaneously, you're not witnessing equipment failure. You're witnessing fear. The tweet was deleted within minutes, but screenshots spread like wildfire. Behind closed doors, the situation was reportedly chaos. A leaked email from a NASA administrator read, "Contingency planning insufficient. Signal complexity exceeds all models. Recommend immediate implementation of Terminus protocol." Another fragment, allegedly from an ESA emergency meeting, trajectory models no longer reliable. Object responding to observation attempts. We are not dealing with a passive target. But it was the silence from typically chatty agencies that spoke volumes. Russia's Roscosmos, known for their, let's say, creative transparency, said nothing. China's CNSA, usually quick to claim independent discoveries, remained mute. Even India's ISRO, riding high on recent lunar successes, stayed quiet. When the entire world's space community simultaneously zips their lips, you know something unprecedented is happening. Astronomer Dr. Avi Loeb from Harvard, already controversial for suggesting Oumuamua might be artificial, broke ranks. In a hastily arranged podcast, he didn't mince words. What we're seeing is institutional paralysis. The signal data is unambiguous. The focusing event is documented. The mathematical patterns are undeniable. Yet instead of following the scientific method observe, hypothesize, test, we're seeing obfuscation, denial, and fear. This is not how science responds to discovery. This is how governments respond to threats. His words carried weight because Loeb had made another connection that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The sky coordinates of 3I, Atlas matched, within 9 degrees, the origin point of the famous WOW signal from the 15th of August 1977. That legendary 72-second narrowband radio burst, detected by Ohio State's Big Ear telescope, had never been explained. Now Loeb suggested it might have been 3I, Atlas announcing itself 48 years ago, when it was still 600 astronomical units from the Sunday. The frequency matches, the sky position matches, the signal strength is consistent with the distance, Loeb explained. Either this is the most remarkable coincidence in astronomical history, or we've been receiving calling cards from this object for decades. As October 29th approached, perihelion, 3I, Atlas's closest approach to the Sun, the observable signals became increasingly complex and urgent. The mathematical constants gave way to what some interpreted as countdown sequences. Prime numbers appeared in descending order. Geometric patterns pulsed in the radio spectrum, growing more intricate with each repetition. The final transmission before solar conjunction was detected at 11:13 p.m. Eastern on October 29th. For exactly 7 minutes and 33 seconds, 3I, Atlas broadcast continuously at multiple frequencies simultaneously. Radio telescopes recorded patterns that looked like three-dimensional geometric forms compressed into two-dimensional signals. Concentric circles, morphing into triangles, transforming into hexagons, evolving into shapes human mathematics doesn't have names for. Then, at precisely 11:20 and 33 seconds p.m. silence, not a gradual fade, not static taking over, but an instant cutoff as clean as hitting a power switch. Every radio telescope on Earth's night side was listening. None heard even a whisper. 3I. Atlas had gone dark just as it disappeared behind the sun's glare, beginning 3 weeks of optical invisibility where anything could happen unobserved. Those 3 weeks of blindness, October 30th to November 20th, 2025, represent the most controversial period in modern astronomy. Officially, nothing happened. 3I. Atlas passed behind the sun, continued its trajectory, and emerged on the other side. Simple celestial mechanics. But the evidence suggests something far stranger occurred during those 21 days of darkness. First came the atmospheric anomalies. Starting November 3rd, ionospheric monitoring stations detected structured radio emissions from Earth's upper atmosphere. Same frequency as 3I, Atlas. Same mathematical patterns, but reflected, inverted, as if bouncing off something. The signals appeared to originate from points 80 to 100 kilometers above Earth's surface, too high for aircraft, too low for satellites. Military radar systems, according to anonymous sources, tracked anomalous returns throughout November. Objects too small to identify, moving too fast to intercept, appearing and disappearing without explanation. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, allegedly went to DEFCON 3 for 6 hours on November 7th, though this was never confirmed officially. Then there were the satellite malfunctions. Between November 5th and 15th, 17 different satellites reported brief sensor anomalies, not failures, but anomalies. Instruments detecting things that shouldn't be there, recording data that didn't make sense, seeing geometric patterns in empty space. Each incident lasted only seconds, but the timing was too clustered to be coincidence. Amateur astronomers, unburdened by government gag orders, reported their own mysteries. Telescopes trained on the sun's corona, hoping to catch a glimpse of 3I, Atlas during transit, instead captured brief flashes of organized light. Not the chaotic flares typical of solar activity, but structured emissions that lasted fractions of seconds. Some managed to photograph these events, sharing images that showed geometric patterns eerily similar to 3I, Atlas's final transmission. Dr. Jennifer Martinez, a solar physicist at the National Solar Observatory, risked her career to speak out. What we observed during those 3 weeks doesn't match any known solar phenomenon. The patterns, the timing, the spectral signatures, they're all wrong for natural solar activity. It's as if something was using the sun's interference as cover for activities. The Mars connection added another layer of mystery. On November 3rd, exactly as predicted, 3I, Atlas passed within 30 million kilometers of Mars. ESA's Mars Express and NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter were positioned to observe. What they saw, or rather, what they allegedly saw before the data was classified, defied explanation. According to leaked reports, 3I, Atlas didn't just pass by Mars, it interacted with it. Radio emissions detected by Mars Express showed signal exchanges between 3I, Atlas, and something in Mars orbit, not any known satellite or spacecraft, but something that responded to 3I, Atlas's signals with matching transmissions. The data, seized within hours of reception, has never been publicly released. When 3I, Atlas finally emerged from behind the sun on November 20th, astronomers rushing to observe it found an object transformed. Its trajectory had shifted, not dramatically, but precisely, as if calculated for a specific new destination. The change required acceleration that no comet could naturally produce, yet no visible propulsion was detected. More unnervingly, the coma surrounding 3I, Atlas, had changed composition. New spectral lines appeared, suggesting elements and compounds not detected before perihelion. The geometric surface patterns, previously subtle, now showed clearly in optical wavelengths, as if the object had shed an outer layer to reveal structure underneath. But it was the resumed transmissions that truly shattered any pretense of natural explanation. The signals returned stronger, more complex, broadcasting on multiple frequencies simultaneously. The mathematical progressions evolved from simple constants to complex equations. Geometric patterns gave way to what looked like technical diagrams, circuit designs, or star maps, compressed into radio waves with an elegance that made human communication look primitive. One pattern, repeated across 17 different frequencies, appeared to show a three-dimensional representation of local stellar positions. Not as seen from Earth, but from a point approximately 4.3 light-years away, the direction of Proxima Centauri, our nearest stellar neighbor, was 3I, Atlas showing us where it came from, or where it was going. Dr. Catherine Walsh, from the European Southern Observatory, couldn't contain her amazement. We're not just receiving signals anymore, we're receiving lessons. Each transmission builds on the last, like a curriculum designed to teach us something. The question is, are we students or subjects? As December 2025 dawned, three competing theories emerged to explain 3I, Atlas, each with profound implications for humanity's future. The benign probe hypothesis, championed by optimists, suggested 3I, Atlas was an ancient survey mission, a robotic anthropologist cataloging civilizations across the galaxy. The signals? Simply data collection, perhaps even an attempt at peaceful contact. The perihelion activities? Deployment of smaller probes to gather more detailed information. In this scenario, we're not in danger, we're being studied by something curious but harmless. Supporting evidence included the mathematical beauty of the signals, the non-aggressive approach trajectory, and the fact that any civilization capable of interstellar travel could presumably destroy us more efficiently if that was their goal. As Dr. Sarah Peterson from Cornell put it, if they wanted us gone, we'd be gone. The fact that they're talking suggests they're interested in conversation, not conquest. The warning system hypothesis took a darker view. Perhaps 3I Atlas was exactly what it appeared to be, a messenger, but the message was a warning. The complex signals could be alerting us to some cosmic threat, trying to prepare us for something coming behind it. The solar conjunction deployment might have been protective measures, early warning systems, or even defensive installations. This theory gained traction when analysts noticed the countdown-like sequences in the signals. Were we being given a timeline, a schedule? One chilling interpretation suggested the Fibonacci sequences weren't random, they were calculating optimal response times for Earth to prepare for something. The test hypothesis was perhaps the most unsettling. What if 3I, Atlas, was evaluation technology sent to measure humanity's readiness for contact? The signals, the trajectory, the timed revelations, all designed to observe our response. How would a young civilization react to clear evidence of non-human intelligence? Would we unite or fracture? Communicate or cower? Attack or embrace? Viewed through this lens, humanity's response had been abysmal. Instead of the unified, rational reaction our science fiction promised, we got secrecy, nationalism, and panic. Governments hoarded data. Scientists were muzzled. The public was kept in the dark. If this was a test, we were failing spectacularly. Imagine, proposed Dr. Alan Sterling from Oxford, that first contact isn't about technology or language barriers, it's about maturity, and right now we're showing all the maturity of toddlers fighting over a toy. If I were an advanced civilization watching this response, I'd mark Earth as not ready and check back in a few centuries. On December 19, 2025, 3I Atlas made its closest approach to Earth, 267 million kilometers, roughly 1.8 astronomical units. Still far beyond any danger, but close enough for unprecedented observation. What scientists saw during those crucial days would haunt them forever. The object appeared to be shedding material, but not like a normal comet. Instead of random sublimation, the release followed patterns. Geometric shapes emerged from the coma, maintained their form for minutes or hours, then dissipated. It was like watching smoke signals written in comet dust, messages in a language we couldn't read. Radio transmissions reached a crescendo. Multiple frequencies broadcast simultaneously, creating interference patterns that formed three-dimensional images when properly decoded. One recurring pattern appeared to show our solar system, but with additional objects, things that aren't there, or at least weren't there before 3I Atlas arrived. Most disturbing were the targeted transmissions, not just aimed at Earth generally, but at specific locations. Radio telescopes in Australia, Chile, China, and Hawaii reported receiving unique signals different from the general broadcast. Each appeared tailored to the receiving instrument's capabilities, as if 3I Atlas knew exactly what equipment was listening and adjusted its message accordingly. It's like having a conversation with someone who knows more about your phone than you do, explained Dr. Michael Torres from the Green Bank Observatory. The signals we received were optimized for our specific receivers, using every bit of our bandwidth, pushing our equipment to its absolute limits. That requires either incredible luck or intimate knowledge of human technology. As 2025 drew to a close, with 3I Atlas beginning its long journey back to interstellar space, humanity faced uncomfortable truths. We were not alone, we were being watched, and we had potentially failed our first test as a cosmic civilization. The signals continued, growing fainter with distance but more complex in content. The final, clearly received transmission, on December 28th, contained something that made cryptographers weep with frustration and wonder. It appeared to be a key, a mathematical Rosetta Stone that might unlock all previous transmissions, but using it required computational power beyond current human technology. Were we being given homework we couldn't complete for decades, or was this a promise, solve this and we'll talk again? International cooperation, forcibly suppressed during the initial contact, began emerging from necessity. The data was too complex for any single nation to analyze, the implications too vast for any government to handle alone. Quietly, carefully, scientists began sharing findings, building a picture of what 3I Atlas truly represented. The consensus was as beautiful as it was terrifying. We had been contacted by an intelligence vast, patient, and subtle. Not the dramatic flying saucer landing on the White House lawn, but something far more profound. A gentle knock on the door of a young civilization, checking if anyone was home, and finding us barely able to answer. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, director of the newly formed International Interstellar Phenomenon Task Force, summed up humanity's position. We always imagined first contact would be clear, dramatic, unambiguous. Instead, we got a teacher who started with basics, math, physics, patterns, and gradually increased complexity. The question now isn't whether we made contact. It's whether we're capable of understanding what's being taught. As 2026 began, and 3I Atlas faded into the darkness between stars, still transmitting its ever-evolving signal, humanity stood at a crossroads. The universe had revealed itself to be inhabited, communicative, and watching. The cosmic silence had been broken not by us reaching out, but by something reaching in. The immediate future held more questions than answers. Would 3I Atlas return? Were the deployed objects still in our solar system? Could we decode the mathematical key before it was too late? Had we passed or failed whatever test was being administered? But perhaps the most important change was in perspective. Every night sky would now be different. Every star potentially harbored watchers. Every interstellar object demanded scrutiny. Humanity had received its wake-up call, delivered by a 7-billion-year-old messenger that took the scenic route through our solar system just to say hello. The cosmos had knocked. We had fumbled our response. But the door was now open, and what walked through next would define the future of human civilization. 3I Atlas had shaken more than NASA to its core. It had shaken our entire species' understanding of our place in the universe. And somewhere in the darkness, still transmitting its mathematical poetry, 3I Atlas continued its ancient journey, leaving behind a world forever changed, and a species finally aware that in the grand cosmic community, we were the new kids on the block. The universe had sent a teacher. The question now was, were we ready to learn? The signals continue to this day, fading but never fully disappearing, a constant reminder that we are not alone, we are being watched, and most importantly, we have been found worthy of contact. What happens next is up to us.